Good morning, good afternoon, and of course, good evening. Welcome to, I think it might be a chinwag. It is certainly going to be a conversation about pinball. That much is for sure. I'm joined by Enzo, who is sat in front of a big Lebowski, which
Yep,
I've just got my big. I sent you a picture, didn't I, on WhatsApp?
you did.
I've just got my big Lebowski back, which has been out on loan for a bit. It's back for a bit. I'm going to fit a toilet mod, do some filming, then it's going back out on loan, so I get it for a really short period of time. Are you enjoying the game?
I am enjoying the game. I've got the toilet mod. Actually, I'm waiting for that to arrive. But I am enjoying it. I mean, we watched the movie on the weekend because I haven't seen it for such a long time. And I think it's important to watch that film to really make you get really into the game.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things you remember and go, oh, yeah, okay, I remember that. Or, that comment or that thing out of the film. And it really puts you deeper into the game. But, yeah, look, it's great. I swapped it for Godfather, basically. I couldn't gel with Godfather at all.
You didn't have it for long, did you?
Not long at all. Probably about a month.
Yeah. That's a better game than Godfather.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even just the amount of tech that's inside the toys and everything. It's a fun, and it's just got so much more character, which kills me to say as a proud Italian. But I just think they missed the mark on that Godfather game, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I had it here. I did quite enjoy it, actually. Enjoyed it far more than I thought I would. But yeah, I wouldn't even. There's very little I would compare to Lebowski. I will. Well, I never say never. You don't know what's going to happen in life, but certainly my intentions are never sell Lebowski. And I know if I ever did, I'd want it. I'd be gutted. I think I'd get to 6 months down the line and think, oh, I really want that back. And it was really nice getting it back, actually. And even now, even though I've had it, and it's been here. It's been here, and I know everything about it. I still got it back here, and I set it up. I said, "Wow, look at it!" And look, it's so well. You'll know this. They're so well built, well built. They don't even have the T molding on the back box. It's just all the wood's finished and stuff like that. And it was just so good, so good to get it back. And we're going to have a little chat about what's been going on at Dutch Pinball. So in this video, I've been out the loop. So we've not been uploading much on the channel. Just apologies for that. Work has completely taken over. In fact, I'm doing 2 jobs now. Actually, believe it or not. So we're going to certainly try and streamline things a little bit more and be getting a little bit more content. So got to say a massive thank you again to Spencer. All those videos that you've seen that we recorded at Pinball Office, Spencer's been uploading them. I've not been uploading anything. So this is really, feels like the first time I've done a pinball video in a month, 6 weeks. It was really good to listen to Spencer and Davey talking about Texas and the home brews. Davey's got some really exciting stuff coming up as well, as you know. So he'll be back on talking with Spencer soon. Texas looked great, but I sort of missed the boat on that. So we're not going to talk about that. But what's happened while I've been out the pinball loop, I've been playing a little bit of pinball, but there's been no time for chit chat. I haven't been on the forum all the time. I haven't been, having chats with Enzo about pinball. There's been a little bit of pinball play, which has been good. It's been good to get back to the heart of it and just doing it. Because work has been so busy, actually pinball has once again become that thing I do just to sort of de-stress. So it's been good because I'm very much in love with pinball, but a lot of the information, a lot of the up-to-date stuff I didn't know. So Enzo sent me I don't know, it was a screenshot or a message yesterday, and he said, The Matrix and John Wick at the same time. Who would believe it? I said, what are you talking about? I didn't know what Enzo was talking about. Enzo, what are you talking about?
Well, I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about. I've been following it quite closely. For me, Keanu Reeves is a massive. I've got signed memorabilia. I saw him over in Melbourne from a distance a long time ago. Huge fan. And then, you start hearing many gossips, what the pinball community is like about, JJP doing the Matrix. And then a rumor started circulating quite recently about Stern doing John Wick. Yep. Apparently, whenever this video goes up, we may have already seen John Wick because there's rumor of it on the 4th or 5th of April at the Milwaukee. Is it Milwaukee? I can't remember now. At a pinball festival in America that they may show it or may show a teaser possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's what I've heard through the grapevine. And it's interesting was it on purpose? Because obviously the rumor of Matrix has been around for a long time. How do you... how do you kind of tackle that with some of the good releases that all the other companies have had, that Stern, some would argue, have had, some not, although I've actually quite enjoyed Venom, even though I didn't like it at the beginning. So it will be interesting to see what rumor is true and what not. There's a rumor circulating that John Wick is a brand new game designer. Some think it's the the girl that was doing the Jaws code video with Keith Elwin and a couple of the others.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
It was really good, and she knows her stuff, and she was so passionate playing, and she's a very good player. Some think it's George Gomez because he hasn't done anything for a while. What was his last game? Bond, I think. Bond, yeah. So, and then obviously the fact that you sat down with Mr. JJP and he didn't give you too much, but, not in
the interview.
Not in the interview. There's, I don't know if you've got the image. I thought I had it here, but basically, designer-wise, from what I've read, Seiden, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, Johnson, Frankie, and Phil are the 4 people working on Matrix. I don't know the JJP guys well, apart from obviously Mr. Elton John, Steve Ritchie.
So hold on. So we don't know who's actually the main game designer?
No, well, the names that have popped up with that are those 4 names. Okay. Seiden, I don't know if Seiden...
Obviously, Frenchie on art, clearly. That's which is right. He's going to make that look gorgeous.
Frenchie, yeah. It's been... Although I'm trying to read that off, the Matrix... coding.
Have they done it in all binary code and green?
I can't read that.
You're not meant to. If you were the one, you'd be able to read it.
Yeah, if you were the one, then I see what you did there. Now, Matrix is a big theme for me, and it scares me a little bit because there's a lot of games out there that are really, really good IP, and they've missed the mark. Like they could have done better toys, they could have done upper playfields, lower playfields.
Star Wars seems to have missed the mark continually. Yeah.
Yep. And quite an insulting game, Star Wars, for me, considering I believe the playfield's meant to be a completely different game, and they just reskinned it for Star Wars. So, look, I think that they seem to be really true rumours because there's no one denying it. I had a very good source at our pinball festival who knows a lot of what's going on in the Stern world that didn't deny it either. To see those games come out around the same time, and they both look like they're going to announce it around the same time, 2 Keanu Reeves titles, I mean, what a time to be alive.
Okay, so, listen, before I give you my opinions on that, you're obviously if you're a Keanu Reeves fan, you're a John Wick fan. Point Break. Point Break is a great film, right? Point Break is a great film. What do you prefer, John Wick or Matrix?
Look, they're very different. I think John Wick is I like the Matrix and the whole idea of philosophy and the Matrix is a very deep.
Yes, it is.
Story. And the idea behind the real world and all that. John Wick is just a shoot 'em up. I found it odd though, considering all the gun violence and all the what's going on in America, that Stern would make a game that is so heavy based on guns. I mean, if I don't see a gun as a shooter rod, like the old Star Trek or the old what do you call it? GoldenEye, where the actual flipper is a gun that you pull the trigger. I'd be disappointed in a John Wick game, nice gold-plated one. But, with what's happening in the US with guns and that, the fact that they're going to be promoting a very violent, because it is very violent, film, although it does very well, that film's killed some records at the box office. I personally, for an enjoyment of sitting down and not thinking, John Wick, counting how many people he kills in the film, you lose track after half an hour. But there's a lot you can do with that.
Yeah, it's there is a lot. I'm not surprised. It's easy for me to say. I'm not a great believer that films and games and console games make people violent. No. And so I don't. Look, we don't. Clearly there is some gun crime in the UK, but guns are obviously.
What's that old saying? Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think every time there's an action film released, there's a spike in gun violence. I mean, so anyway, without getting into all that stuff, so I wouldn't blame them for releasing an action, which is basically an action revenge film, and I'm quite sure John Wick kills as many people with his hands or a sword as he does with guns. Really, really, really good. In fact, one of the most ridiculous things I saw in a John Wick film was, and I have watched them all, which surprises me, to be honest with you. I have watched them all. There was a blind guy who seemed to be as good at shooting as the people that could see. And I thought, okay, but that's okay. Look, I don't expect my films to be realistic. I really don't. I think with John Wick, I'm not going to. I much prefer Matrix. I mean, by a country mile. John Wick. I think it's what it is a revenge film, but I think it's quite a stylish one. I think it's probably filmed really well. I quite like the premise of the Continental hotel. I like Ian McShane. I love Ian McShane. If you ever seen a film called Sexy Beast, you ever seen Sexy Beast? Ray Winstone. Funny enough, I've been fortunate enough to interview Ray Winstone. So I love Ray Winstone to bits. But Ben Kingsley gets a lot of the plaudits for that film. Ian McShane is outstanding in that film. Ian McShane is a fantastic actor, so I think he's in it. I think they've cast it pretty well. Yeah, but I mean, it's a revenge film or a film about a dog, whichever way you want to look at it. The first one, and it's got what's his name? It's got Theon in it from Game of Thrones as well, which is interesting. It's okay. It's probably one of the better revenge films, but that's not my kind of film. To be fair, anyway. George Gomez is my favourite designer, so him doing it would be a really, really good thing. And I think, it would lend itself well. And we'll discuss Stern in a bit, because I really firmly believe Stern needs a hit. So if they're releasing this soon, I think that's a really shrewd move. It's a smart move, and I think this will appeal to a lot of people, because there are a lot of people who absolutely love John Wick. There's no doubt about it. But I do prefer the Matrix, and that was. You're right. It is a thought-provoking film. Do you think actually reality is real, Enzo, or do you think you live in the Matrix?
It's a very, very interesting question, because I tend to think that we are not always in control. That's for sure.
Interesting.
And I've got a couple books that were based on that film. That film were based on books that are very hard to get, that the directors read, and it took me a long time to trace those books down. I should have pulled them out, actually. But it's very deep, and the thought process behind it, not just about computers running and, another world within a world. There's more to it. It's a far better film. I mean, that film set a genre, and it set a whole new genre in Hollywood. And, for me, it's what pulled me into cinema in 1998. I could tell exactly where I was sitting, what I was wearing, what popcorn I had, because it was that monumental.
What popcorn did you have? Sweet or salty?
No, just traditional butter popcorn.
Oh, that's the best stuff. It's the best stuff. Okay. Yeah.
But I remember the smell of the cinema. It was a moment in my life that we saw something pretty unique on screen. Even though we had seen Star Wars and Jurassic Park and all that stuff in the 90s, the Matrix just was a different world altogether. And I think as a pinball machine, yes, there is a lot of stuff you can do with it. Hopefully I'd like to see upper playfield, lower playfield, because you could just do, I can already imagine like a lower playfield being Zion, which is all the cave.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got to hit the little tentacle robot that's under there chasing you. And the
robot's testicle, did you say? Sorry, my
the robot's testicles.
Yeah,
nice. Sorry, I broke up there. We're a bit far in Australia. I think there is, as a pinball machine, you could do more with the Matrix than probably you could with John Wick.
Well, to be fair, Stern probably won't get the rights to Keanu Reeves. They'll probably get the dog or something. They might get the concierge from the Continental, but they won't be able to call it the Continental. And they'll get probably the dog will be doing the call outs. Multi-ball. Oh, actually, that's a little bit Scooby Doo, isn't it? But yeah. Whereas I would imagine. A JJP, Hugo Weave and Mr. Anderson. And there'll be all that stuff going on.
With a big screen. And
yes. Well, do you know what? It's funny, actually. I care less about screens now after Pulp Fiction, but there's some of them, the big screen, particularly if it is, I guess, a big movie like that. Yeah, the screen is good. I'm never watching the screen anyway, and I loved Elton John, and I never had time to look at the screen.
Look up, I know, but see, I would like to see a matrix where, like the P3 guys, where the play field is the green matrix, and the whole thing is a screen. Like, because who's looking up? We're always looking down. That P3 idea of the screen and the play field is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. The big screen isn't a massive. There was a couple games at the festival I had here, which I've taken content of. Hopefully we can show it soon. Like Spirit from 1979. No screen. Doesn't need it. Pulp Fiction's a very similar game. Doesn't need it. But, look, I just think, yes, as a pinball game, you're right. Matrix is probably better. I prefer probably a film like John Wick is just maybe like the same like a game where you just walk up to it, play it, just kill a whole heap of people in the game and walk away from it. I think the Matrix is probably a deeper game with a very complex rules and code and stuff. Maybe.
Well, I think perhaps more scope for toys. It's gonna be really interesting, because you got a whole thing. You got the red. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting choice. You got the red pill and blue pill. You got the Nebuchadnezzar. I'll be very disappointed if there's not a lady in a red dress in a promo video playing the game. Yep. Or a man in a red dress, if that's your type of thing. I mean, it'd be. I think. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I got to say, the response. I mean, obviously saw it here first because I was so lucky to get Elton John here first. A big shout out to the channel sponsor, of course, Pinball Heaven, where the sign is just behind me over there, as you can see. And a massive thanks to Jersey Jack, of course, for getting it sent over here. It felt so good, that game. It shot so well, and it was really interesting to see so many people go over to Texas, and a lot of people then played it there, and they came back and said, "Wow, this is a good game." I also, without saying too much about how many have been sold, because I don't know the fine detail, certainly seems that a lot more have been sold in the UK than, for instance, Godfather sold or anything like that. And they're not cheap games. They're not cheap. And if you're going to sell an expensive game, then it better be packed and it better be worth it. And I really do. I think, look, if there was one company I would want to make my game or my dream theme, it would be the company that's behind you now. It would be Ditch Pinball. Ditch Pinball, are just magnificent. But if it's not, and particularly you want it packed full of stuff, then it would have to be Jersey Jack for me, because now they've sorted out the flipper problems, which I think was one of the issues. I think a Jersey Jack Matrix with Frenchie on art. Now, I obviously we don't know about designers. I mean, the shots have got to be good. Let's be fair. This is a pinball machine, after all. We want our good shots on there, and it's got to be coded well. And we just don't know. But I mean, you also can't rule out. If George Gomez is certainly going to be designing, John Wick, then I wouldn't doubt for a moment that it would be really well designed and shoot really well, because he is my favourite game designer.
I would hope it's George Gomez. I think just because it would really bring some credibility to that game, and I think Stern needs it at the moment. Not that Jaws isn't doing well for them. I mean, we're sold out here in Australia with Jaws pre-orders. But I think, again, just talking back to like even the music, I can envision pushing the start button on Matrix and just hearing that theme song. It's such an immersive experience. And I think you've got far more that will pull you into a Matrix pinball than with John Wick, because John Wick didn't really have a theme music. It wasn't anything that if you heard again 20 years later, you'd know it was John Wick.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas, the Matrix, just that intro music is, and even just the training temple with Morpheus, that could be a mode in itself.
Wouldn't it just?
the rooftop dodging the bullets. That's a mode in itself.
Wow.
I mean, you could go forever.
Yeah, well, that might be a good video mode. Woo,
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
As you can see, I'm like Neo. I am also gifted.
So maybe a video mode where you've got to dodge the bullets, pushing the flippers, an interactive topper, which is a big thing at the moment. So it's look, with the interesting thing with JJP is they can load the crap out of a pinball machine. I mean, you look at Wizard of Oz. You guys just did a video on that. It is loaded. I mean, there's nothing. There's no room left on the playfield, right? Yeah. Is it a good game? Look, I don't mind it. Would I buy one? Probably not. But I mean, considering it's got a lot of stuff in it, my kids liked it because it was so full. But then you look at the next couple games they did. Toy Story for me was a miss. Godfather was a miss. Elton John, everyone's loving Elton John. I mean, the response in America, which has surprised me, is that everyone's loving it. I didn't think that was going to be the case. So, and Steve Ritchie obviously is ironing out all the problems.
Yeah.
Look, I think they could really have like a record breaker on their hands if they've done it correctly.
I agree. I mean, I think the thing with Elton John, there's a lot of people prepared to dislike it because they don't like it's not their favourite music artist. They don't like it for any number of reasons. But once you start shooting it, you'd have to be really stubborn to say, nope, that's it. It's Elton John and I don't like it. It plays really well. And even if you look at it, and even if it's not particularly your choice of colours, it's hard to look at it and think, well, actually, that's really, really stunning. It really is. And I love that. And it's actually something that did make me laugh and has really made me laugh on very recently with the accusation, because we're going to get a talk about ABBA in a second, because that's been rumoured as well. And it was an interaction that Steve Paget, who used to run Electric Circus in Nuneaton, and is pinball royalty in the UK. And he also, I think he's got his games at Tilt. His games are at Tilt now in Birmingham, which is another good venue to play pinball in Birmingham. And it was somebody suggesting that maybe ABBA wasn't wouldn't be a good theme for pinball, because it was a little bit camp. And Steve rightly pointed out, and he said, well, hold on a second here, pinball is camp. It goes back it's not just whether it's the Elton John, Dolly Parton or anything else. And it did make me laugh that absolutely anyone had considered that pinball was manly. And because as someone that works in the football sector, with football fans and it's particularly going through its hooligan years, it's beer and fighting. That's what it's hooliganism. It's not now, but it is. It's not too many manly pursuits. I think maybe cage fighting. Yes, I know women do it as well. But it just made me laugh that some people had maybe considered that I gotta say, pinball ain't it. It's a box of flashing lights that plays music, and that's what it is. So we'll get on to ABBA now. I don't have any problem with ABBA being camp. I have a problem with ABBA being crap and making crap music, and I have no problem with that at all. I mean, I'll Dolly Parton is as camp. I will play Dolly Parton, the Lady and the Machine, all day long. I really, really will. Okay, but ABBA. So who's rumoured to be doing ABBA?
Well, Pinball Brothers have dropped a video recently. Right. When I interviewed the guy from Pinball Brothers, he said to me that the next title will be very popular in Australia, and I said, okay, I've heard that you guys are doing another musical one, and he said, well, I can't comment, but it will be popular in Australia, and ABBA is pretty popular here. Apparently,
yeah, but the Aussies are very manly bunch. I'm fine. You like your Barbies and your beer and wrestling crocodiles, don't you?
Well, apparently,
you did Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, though. To be fair,
yeah, but that's okay. I mean, that's pretty manly, I guess. Just after hours, it's not. But it's when I saw them drop that helicopter, that gave it away straight away. I was like, that's an ABBA helicopter. And then it kind of, from the album cover, I can't remember which album it was. And I only know this because obviously I have a hi-fi store. We sell a lot of music and records. I'm not a huge ABBA fan. My wife and family, we tend to watch Eurovision, which is quite a big thing for us. And ABBA was a big part of Eurovision. So, I've seen the content. The helicopter is quite iconic. It's like a wire see-through type thing. And their video that Pinball Brothers dropped was that helicopter, very iconic. And it shows the ball coming in, 2 balls, and then the helicopter looks like it's floating. And the 2 balls obviously drop into the seats of the helicopter. And it has a bit of a balancing act.
Oh, that looks interesting. Yeah.
And that obviously is a toy in the game. Now, where this scares me a little bit, because I think ABBA has a lot of potential, the problem is they've missed the mark with Queen.
Yes.
And that is, again, a music machine, which has a lot of potential. I still think they should have gone the Highlander route, but that's a conversation for another day. But, a pinball machine based on Highlander with Queen music, great. I just think that machine lacks, for such an iconic band that done some of the biggest concerts in the world, I didn't feel immersed. Whereas Guns N' Roses by JJP, you turn that on and that is like you're in the middle of a concert. It is loud. It is colourful. Too many multi-balls for my liking, but it is...
It looks wondrous, yeah.
It is a hell of a musical pinball machine. And they missed the mark with Queen. Yes, there's been code updates, but even there's nothing really exciting about it to look at. There's an upper playfield with a guitar. So people are worried. I've read comments that people are worried that, it's another musical pinball. Has that got fatigued from that company because they didn't really hit the other one out of the mark? But we are being judgmental. But if anything, we go off that model that they've shown. That's a pretty cool little toy.
The toy looked, yes, I saw that. The toy did look good. It really did look good. And listen, you can't judge any pinball machine until you've played it. Absolutely not. But yeah, I just for me, the theme is not. See, it's not going to be like Elton John because I like Elton John's music. I always have done. And also you got the whole Pinball Wizard thing going on as well with Elton John. So you got that as well. And you see that all over the place. My favourite band's The Who, and Elton John was singing a Who song, and it was in Tommy and whatnot. So yeah, of course, I actually cannot stand ABBA's music. So I'm not even. So when I was a kid. A family member used to play it all the time, and I mean all the time.
You can't stand them now?
Every day. What, the family member or ABBA?
Yeah. The family member.
No. Family member is absolutely fine, but it's all is forgiven. But I can't shift that. And I mean, the album, like the vinyl, went on every single day.
Yeah.
And
I know what that's like.
ABBA was getting played, and Mary Poppins was on a video on the funny. It wasn't video. It was a big cassette. Mary Poppins is a cracking film, by the way. But actually, to be fair, 2 different films, either Mary Poppins or The Jungle Book. Actually, absolutely cracking, but which is fine. There's a lot to like in those. But that music. I've listened to it too much, and I think it puts chills down me. So I'm not even sure. I'm just thinking of pressing about the button. Money. Oh no! It would be switched off. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think the music is rocking enough.
Waterloo. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't make you. Unless they're taking it in a different direction, which is just inspired by ABBA, and they're like,
what direction could they possibly take it in?
I don't know. Maybe maybe they're remixing all the songs. I don't know.
Are they?
Into a dance techno version, where
right?
You have to, you maybe have to use glow sticks to play the game. But I agree. When I heard, I was like, oh, really, ABBA? Out of all the music stuff. And why another musical pin? Well,
I don't mind that. Listen. Let me just nail this musical pin. I think most pins aren't musical. I think there's a lot of them that are made about films. and about TV shows. I don't think there's any more music pins than there are film pins or TV shows. What I don't want to do is rule out a whole genre, which is music. No, not at all.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying more because they missed the mark on their last one, which was a music pin.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe do something else and then do ABBA.
No. Yeah, what is odd? Yes, you're absolutely right. What is odd that they did Alien, then that they should really be doing another thing like that. I think that's absolutely like a Predator or something would be, would be a much, much bigger seller. And I also don't think every music pin's got to be rock music. I would like to have seen a rap pin by now. That would have been pretty cool as well. So yeah, I mean, music's fine. I just think that's a weird one to choose, really. It has to be said. And
I'll tell you what, the rights wouldn't have been cheap.
They wouldn't have been.
For sure. No, I don't reckon they would have been. No, I mean, there was a massive debate in the for years about them re-releasing music, and apparently the rights to the music was expensive, and there was a massive debate about it, and who knows?
Maybe this is just they're trying to get another audience. Maybe this is for those die-hard ABBA fans, because ABBA fans are they're devout people. They go following them. The fans follow. But they can't follow because they've only got like the holographic thing. Now, obviously, they don't tour. They stopped performing years ago, but they've got a holographic ABBA thing, and people go mad for that stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit like, and maybe that's an interesting point you've made, because I'll tell you what, if someone released a Taylor Swift pinball machine, right, all of a sudden you've got hundreds of thousands of new pinball players.
Oh. My girlfriend is, well, I don't even know the name. She is a Swiftie, is the name for it. Also, so is my daughter. So my daughter's 10. So there's a whole generational gap there. So I mean, this artist. Actually, I think I do know one of her songs, but this generational. Really is, she's appealing to everybody, and that would be a really, really big test for pinball, just to say, hold on, can we make it mainstream? Can we make pinball mainstream? Yes, look, there'd be a lot of people complaining. I got to say, I have no complaints about ABBA, and I'll tell you why. I don't expect every pinball machine to be made for me. No. In the same way that I don't walk into a restaurant and think, oh, fish, I don't like fish. Well, then eat the sausage, eat the pie, have the pizza, have something else, right? The menu is meant to be there to cater for everybody. It's just as simple as that. What I can't do is take offence when a pinball machine is produced that I might not like. Well, that's cool. Do you know what? I'll go and get something else. I'll go and get.
That's the whole joy. That's the whole joy of the hobby, right? The fact that I don't like Godfather, but someone else might.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That is the whole. Like, it's not for everybody, but it won't stop you trying it. It won't stop you playing it. You'll walk up to it. And I think, I've never walked into a room and seen the game that I don't like and still not played it. Right? I think that's what's great about this hobby.
I think you'd be really stubborn if you did that. If you no, that's it. Yeah. I haven't played it, and I'm not gonna play it because I know I won't like it. No. I think if you're probably like that, you are probably like that with everything. You're probably like
that. Was a good impersonation of Spencer, by the way.
I think you probably are like that. But yeah. To be fair, he's not like that. But I think you'd be like that with food. You'd probably like it with music. You'd probably like it with film. That most people aren't like that. That's a weird way to be anyway. That's just purely stubborn and cutting your nose off to spite your face, as we would say. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they should. I would be quite interested, actually, just from somebody that is obviously a pinball hobbyist. I'd be interested to see a pinball company going for the mainstream, to see if it would work, to see if new people would come into the hobby, because that's how you get it. And it might well be that you would produce a Taylor Swift pinball machine, people start playing it, and then they think, hold on, I quite like this game. I came to this because I like Taylor Swift and I like the music, but actually I quite enjoyed hitting steel balls around with these flippers. What else is there?
Yeah.
And that's how people get. So I would be interested to see if they could do it. And I think the hobby probably needs somebody to do something. Maybe, but the Taylor Swift one is probably would be the better option because their demographic, that's going to encourage more young people into the hobby rather than ABBA is going to obviously encouraged a load of people who are probably nearly dead into the hobby, basically. So I think that's the problem.
Well, not even young people. I mean, when we just had a Taylor Swift concert here in Australia, which she sold out 3 shows back to back, and I mean, I've got my Facebook friend list is quite vast, and there was I saw people going to the concert that were, their kids were 10 and 12. Friends that were going that were 30, other friends that were going that are 50. So, she's got a following of an age demographic. And I think that works. The thing I've learned about pinball, and I'm quite new to this, is that there's multiple type of people that play. There's people like me and you that are hobbyists. There are people that just love the game and they don't care about the genre. They don't care what the name on the backlight is. They just buy the game because it's new and they like the challenge, and they'll flip it after 3 months, right? They'll move on to the next one. So I think even certain genres like ABBA will still do okay because those people just want to buy it to play it and move it on. Then there's people like me and you that will buy it because we love that genre or we love that specific band. And then there's the people that are dedicated to that specific band, right? So I think it's very hard to miss the mark because you're covering a whole heap of boxes. So even though I think it's something that is a bit of a weird choice, I think it might do okay. I mean, you're talking about 1,000 pinball machines, right? If you can't move 1,000 pinball machines in the whole world, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's my take. I'll probably get crucified in the comments for that. But I think if you're making 1,000 games, the hobby is huge.
I think it is. I think I sort of breathe a sigh of relief sometimes when people release a theme that it's funny that I don't like or that I don't know, because I think that's it's a good job because that's one less that I feel I have to get because do you know what I mean? It's I mean
100%.
So for this, I'm really pleased. What I didn't want was Blade or Predator and John Wick. And The Matrix coming out at the same time. Then I've got a decision to make. If it's, to be fair, I probably couldn't afford a JJP anyway, which is fine. But but if I was looking at that, there's one winner. ABBA, John Wick, Matrix, there's one clear winner. So I'm quite pleased about that, particularly if there are themes that I don't know about. And I've always sort of thought that with a lot of the, particularly with a lot of the some of the music as well. I think, that's good. That's good. I'm pleased. And I'm pleased it's a good game. Iron Maiden be a great example. People love the, they love the game and it's an Elwyn game and all the rest of it. But it was a bit of a let-off. It allowed me, I did actually buy it, to be fair. I actually did buy it. But, it allowed me to not worry about it. Basically, if you don't like the theme, you don't think you're missing out. And that's important.
Do you think so? I guess a lot of these pinball companies, because there's a lot of them now, and they're making 1,000 machines, right? The fact that they don't really probably care too much because there is a game out there for everybody, right? And I mean, how many people would have gone through the Texas Pinball Festival? A couple thousand people?
Sure.
Easy,
Oh, so yeah, I'm sure easy. I don't know, but I'm sure comfortably.
Yeah, they would have had probably 5,000 people go through. Who knows? But already that's just in one city. Now, granted, they had a lot of people from around the world going there, right? But I might not like something, but they're never I'd be struggling to see that people not selling machines for something that is a popular theme. I can understand maybe if the game was horrendous and the trailer didn't do it for you and the gameplay, you went and played it and you didn't like it, and that really all the boxes just got missed, right? The probability of that is very unlikely. Right. Yeah. So I think a company will go, well, we're going to try and make this game. Hopefully we're going to sell it. They know they're going to sell them. I'd be very surprised if they don't move 1,000 ABBAs because there's probably a lot more diehard fans than that because it introduces new players. I think we think they're crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah. I just feel that the hobby, the more time I'm spending in it, the more I'm realizing that there's a machine for everybody, and they only make 1,000. I don't think people realize that really a lot of the time there's only 1,000 machines being made. It's not like the old days where they used to make 5,000 of one. But on average, it's about 1,000, isn't it, on most games?
I think on a lot of, I don't know where I got this figure from. I even think sometimes like a spooky, I think
Yes.
750 or something like that.
Yep.
But I think I'll be interested to hear what your view on this. I think the other thing is, from me, I'll try and list some games now that I really want. And some of them haven't even been made yet, right? So, and I'd be interested. I would, maybe you can give me 5 as well. So have a little think about it while I'm speaking. So I really want a Fathom. I really want a Centaur. They don't have to be Haggis. I'll never get a Haggis one because no one can. I really want a Fathom. I really want a Centaur. I really want a Pulp Fiction. I want a Lord of the Rings. I want a Whitewater. I'd like to get Monster Bash back. I'd like to get Attack from Mars as well. I really want to get Back to the Future. Now I really want the Matrix as well. And there's just a number of these games from all. I said Whitewater, didn't I? Think I said Whitewater. Yeah. From just a huge number of games, which I just want. So, and I want them all. Do I want them all equally? Maybe not. But maybe there's some that would just tip the scales. But it's so many that I'm totally unsure. And that's a lot of games to want.
A lot of space.
A lot. Yeah, I don't have it. There's no way I could do all of that. But that's fine as well. I think that that's cool to do that. And what it does do, and when you want that many games, it does take the pressure off. And I don't want to talk about FOMO too much, the fear of missing out, because for me, it's not fear of missing out. It's just desire to have something. So it's not a case of Pulp Fiction, for instance. I think, I will miss out. No, I just want it. I don't think I will. I think I'll get one. It's not fear of missing out on Elton John. I think one will become available. It's not fear of missing out. It's just absolute desire. I want that. I must play it, because there's an addiction, as we've spoken about with pinball machines, because they're made to be addictive. That's the whole bloody point. You put your coins in them, you keep playing them, and they take your money. Unfortunately, they've stopped taking.
That's why they banned them.
Yeah, that's right. But they've stopped taking the coins out your pocket and they've started emptying your bank account instead. That's what pinball machines do now. But so I think with that in mind, I don't mind. I don't mind if there's going to be a new game coming out. And that's why, for instance, you mentioned Venom. I didn't like Venom, but I'm completely cool with it because good. So other people like it. That's fine. If anything, I'm relieved because I don't have to add Venom to that list of 8 machines that I just mentioned. What about you? What would be interested to know? What do you really want?
Look, Matrix, John Wick, Jaws, Back to the Future. I actually quite like Venom Premium. I played Venom Pro only, and for 6 months I couldn't care less. And then the other day I happened to play a Premium. I actually really enjoyed it. Lord of the Rings. A new Ghostbusters. If they did one, there's talk of that happening. A new Metallica if they do one, so I could keep going. I'd love to get a Demolition Man, because that was nostalgic for me. Judge Dredd, because that was nostalgic for me. I could run out of space. GoldenEye, because I really enjoyed that. And what else? I could keep going. Where do you stop? Hobbit. It's just endless. The existing games, the previous games, and all the games coming out. There's certain things that I kind of think, we don't see games that are sport-based. We don't see many sport-based games. I'd like to see a one. I'd like to see a basketball one. I think there's opportunities, like an NBA Jam pinball machine.
It's odd, and the reason it's odd is because the game is played with a round ball, which so many sports are. So actually, I would argue that pinball lends itself to sport more than anything else, because a round ball being hit by something is a sporting exercise far more than it's anything to do with a film or a band.
Yeah,
I would completely agree with that, and I think they only touched on it a little bit with World Cup 94. I think that the trouble is with it is that it's obviously primarily, absolutely, massively, primarily as a US-based endeavor. And the one country, and I never, when people come over from the States, they are always amazed. So when people come over, my friends come over from the States, they tend to come over here, then they'll go and do a tour around Europe. By the time they're on the way back, they're astounded by how big football is, or soccer, as they would call it. They're globally. And the trouble is, the one place it's not I mean, everywhere. You can go to Mexico, even go to Canada, and it's pretty big. All out. They love their ice hockey there. Go to Mexico, go to Brazil, go to Argentina. Everywhere in the Americas, soccer, football, brilliant. It's just huge. And obviously, all
you know what?
Europe.
You could make one game, and you could skin it for any soccer club you want.
That would be the idea. So
you just get 10, those 6 clubs that tried to leave the Premier League and the Champions League.
No, they don't get to do it.
You get 6, you can order it, you pick the team, you pick whatever, then the whole playfield becomes Manchester United or Chelsea or, Brazil or whatever it is, right? Country. It is so easy to do. Golf, snooker.
Snooker, golf. You're absolutely right. Oh yes, they touched it with No Good Gophers, but it's a comedic play on
it. A long time ago, though.
Sorry?
They touched on it a long time ago.
They did, but also they did it like a comedy thing. But you're actually some golf. With and you I think you really could. You do your par 3s and you could do your par 1. You could do different things and different shots. It would have to be really interactive with the screen. But imagine that. Now what you'd have is various difficulties of shots. I don't think there'd be a lot of flow on this game. Maybe there'd be a little bit where you could incorporate it, but maybe you could have actually on the screen the different courses. Maybe you could have the TPC at Sawgrass. Maybe you could have Augusta. Maybe you could have 3 or 4 different courses, and then actually you could plot your way through that. I mean, there's whether anyone would. I don't mean anyone. Clearly, some people would, but you go back to what you're saying there. 1,000 games. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you now. If they could sell 1,000 ABBA games, they could certainly sell 1,000 PGA. What's that?
I said you would eat your hat.
No. I'd just be, if they can sell 1,000 ABBA games, someone can sell 1,000 PGA Golf Tour games. 1,000, but of football ones, they wouldn't. Honestly, if they did soccer, they would not be looking at 1,000. And actually, if they actually did a modernised World Cup one, which would incorporate all the countries in the World Cup, they would have everyone there. A FIFA one, it would be big. Anyway, listen, just because we're running out of time, and we do have another conversation, which is actually Dutch Pinball, I just love Dutch Pinball. They are amazing. They are incredible, and I am more excited about what Dutch Pinball do next, which we assume, for the purposes of this podcast, is Back to the Future. I am more excited about that than any other pinball machine I can possibly think. They're exactly the company I would choose to make this. I like the fact that what Dutch don't do is they don't have to do 3 games a year. Dutch Pinball can take years to plan their game. And when anyone takes a few years to plan anything or record anything or write anything, they get to pour their heart and soul and their love into it. So what you get is a labor of love rather than a quick buck. And I am genuinely excited to see what they'll put into, because they will not be they would not stop putting something in because of bill of materials. During the design process, they would have had different ideas about DeLoreans and flux capacitors and different things.
Clock towers and...
Absolutely. And nothing...
Hoverboards.
...would have been taken off out of the creative process. Nothing would have been declined. Everything would have been considered. But not at any point would they have turned around and said, oh, no, we can't do that because, oh, no, we won't be able to do the machine quickly enough, or the bill of materials, or engineering-wise, that might be too difficult. No, it will. If what they decide is the flux capacitor or the clock tower or whatever it is, they decide that needs to be in the game, they will find an engineering solution and they will do it. And for that reason, I'm mega, mega excited. However, Enzo, they have bought the shop across the street. Basically, they bought another industrial unit, which is across the street. And as far as you are aware, they're basically having a little sort of offshoot company, a little subsidiary of Dutch Pinball, right?
Yeah, so obviously we saw them make an announcement about this Dutch exclusive or whatever it is, and it's going to basically a side business. A lot of people think it stemmed from the idea that they've got a JV with the guy that did Alice in Wonderland. and they kind of accidentally on purpose, leaked. They had the playfield lifted, and you could just make out the side flower, which was on the Alice in Wonderland black and white translite.
Yeah.
And that's been leaked around a lot. So there was a few people that straight away criticised the fact that, here we go. They're starting off this side exclusive club, which is going to be for really, really expensive games.
Yeah.
And already a lot of negative comments about, that means that Back to the Future is going to be very, very expensive because they've got this new exclusive elite and they're only going to make 500 and they're going to be 30 grand each or something, right? I don't think that's the case. What I will say is I honestly, genuinely believe that Back to the Future will be the game that breaks the industry. As in, I think they will break records. I think they won't be able to keep up with orders, and I think it's going to cause a big problem for the industry in a good way, because it doesn't matter who I speak to, and I speak to a lot of people in this hobby, everyone wants Back to the Future. And I think they are taking their time on purpose and for a reason, like you said, to get it right and to make sure that they're ticking all the boxes. But I think this sub-business on the side for them is very smart, because Alice in Wonderland wasn't their game. So I believe it was someone else's idea. Correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone in the comments. And they're taking this to production for this individual. And it's a JV with him from what I've read and I've understood. I could be wrong. But obviously they can't put that through Ditch Pinball because they didn't make the game, or they didn't design the game, or didn't do the artwork. So they need someone to build that machine, and they've approached Ditch. Now, they've approached Ditch for the obvious reason. They build one hell of a machine. Arguably, they build the best machine in the industry. And their customer service is second to none. They don't have a problem speaking to you. Like, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, probably the best pinball company in the world at the moment, in my opinion. So this Ditch exclusive is just a smart move for them. I don't think they're going to release a game and try and claim it as their own. So I think having this little side hustle for things that are going to be unique, maybe doing more homebrews. I mean, homebrews were what we saw from the Texas Pinball Festival. I mean, Saw looked like a real game.
Yes.
Friday the 13th, it looked like a real game. I mean, these homebrews are nuts. Right, and someone's already done all the work for you. Someone's already done the coding. They don't have the money to mass produce that.
No.
So maybe that is a whole business venture in itself. They're going, well, hold on. We don't need to do research. We don't need to create the game. Someone's already done it. Let's do a JV. It's a side business. It's a new umbrella, and I think it's a smart move. That's what I personally think they're going to do with it. I could be wrong.
Well, do you know what? I go back to the thing I said before. I don't expect every pinball machine to be made for me. If they want to, I mean, there's rumours that this thing, as you said, was like make 500 units. Yeah. If they want to create a side company, and make 500 Alice in Wonderlands, I don't think that lessens pinball. I think that helps pinball. I think I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it might be a magnificent machine. I know it's Lewis Carroll, isn't it? I don't. My sister read Alice in Wonderland. I don't even remember there being a television. I don't remember much about it. I got to be honest with you. So it's not something that overly resonates with me. No, but I got to be honest. But even Labyrinth, which obviously was made by Barrels of Fun, I don't remember it. I don't remember seeing the film, but when I played it, I thought, "Oh, this is good. This is a good game." Well, it didn't, but I didn't understand why. I was thinking there's like a cross in a bog or something in it, or whatever. I didn't particularly understand why I was doing it, but it was quite good fun. Now, what I do know is if I did love Labyrinth, that would have really appealed to me. That game, it has to be said. But it's one of those ones you think, "Oh, that's a let off," and Alice in Wonderland may well be absolutely magnificent, but for me, I couldn't. I'd tell you what. I don't know if you saw Alice on the back glass. She's grown up a bit. What's happened to her? That's not how I remember.
Eating lots of chicken.
Sorry?
She's eating a lot of chicken.
She certainly is.
All the hormone boosters. I was just pulling up the post by Ditch. I don't know if you can see it. But basically, it was a massive post, but to cut in a nutshell, it basically said that in collaboration with Melvin Williams has initiated DPX to cater to a niche market. Now, that could be the LE version of games, possibly. But that could be, yes, Alice in Wonderland. And there was a lot of comments on their post about, great, Alice in Wonderland. They'll make 500, but they're going to charge 30 grand for it. And you know what? If they do, great. Because that means the only real collectors are going to buy that game, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I find it hard to believe someone's going to buy Alice and try and flip it for $50,000, possibly, right? But I think, you know, we have LEs. We've been making LEs for a long time. That is not for everybody. You know, nobody has an extra $5,000 in Australia to buy an LE. So I don't think doing something exclusive is new, or, you know, it's new, the fact that they're starting a whole new business in a new building, great. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they're smart. You know,
well, there are other options available. I think that's the other thing. If what you want, I assume if what you don't want is expensive limited edition games, then you can go out and get a cheap mass produced one, which is the opposite of that. Then that's fine. Unless, you know, unless you're somebody that feels you needs to have every single pinball machine. But I guess if you're like that, you've probably got the money to buy all of them, and you know, and to house them all. It's cool. I think it's really, really good. I'd be interested in playing it. No doubt about it. But you know what? Again, I'm not even that bothered if I don't. There are so many games I haven't played. I haven't even played. I guess what's it called? James Bond, the 60th edition. I've never played that. I don't know, and that's fine as well. I suspect I probably quite like it because I'm sort of enjoying the single level games at the moment. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, that was what, 25 grand, something like that. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to go and get it. And I would suspect that there may be the people that got there. I know it got a bit of a slating at the time, but I'd imagine there's a lot of people who got their James Bond Pro, and now the code has been updated. They're probably looking at that thinking, with the George Gomez, I'm thinking, this is a bloody good game that I got here for whatever. I don't even know what it was, for £7,000 or whatever it might have been. Yeah. So, you know, if you want that mass produced, there are, you know, a budget game, which, but let's be fair, particularly in the States where you are looking at sort of like $5,500, Stern Pros are budget games. They're cheap games. They're not claiming to have all of this stuff like that game behind you's got, the bowling alleys, and you know, they don't do it, and they can't do it. They don't. You're not looking at that thinking, oh, look, hold on, there's no John Goodman or there's no Jeff Bridges on the playfield. They got the license for everybody in the film, and they did what they needed to do, really, didn't they? So I think that's, going back to Dutch, that's what they'll do. Now, I think the only, as I've heard, the only rumor is that they won't have what's his name, Glover. That's his name. The guy that played George McFly in the first one. Is it Crispin Glover? I think his name is something. It's something.
He's difficult to deal with, apparently.
Well, he is, because they cut him out. They found him difficult to deal with for the second film, apparently. Or maybe, to be absolutely fair to him, maybe he found them difficult. I think he felt slighted that they left him out of it. So, and then I think in the second one they got a look-alike. And I've got to be honest with you, it took me 20 years to realise that had happened, until I realised that they'd had a Barney and had a disagreement. It was so they put prosthetics on him and made him look like him, old George McFly there. So to not get him, not only do I think it's understandable, I think it was predictable. And you know, and we spoke about stubborn people earlier. Maybe he was just so stubborn. No, I want nothing to do with it. Even if he was going to get some money, he might have thought, no, I'm having nothing to do with it. So that, you know, look, that's fine. But let's be fair. If you were going to go and pick 3 characters to go on the playfield for Back to the Future, George McFly wouldn't be on there. It'd obviously be Biff, it would obviously be Doc, and it would obviously be Marty. And you know, so that's fine. The DeLorean what is far more important than George McFly. There's almost he's only really, you know, he is a big character, but you know, don't get me wrong, because he was.
To be honest, I played a lot of Back to the Future. There was a couple of Back to the Future video games where they used voiceover actors and they nailed it, right? So I wouldn't be bothered if it didn't have any of the original voices. I'd be bothered if there was no movie film like content.
Oh,
right?
he'll be in there. They'll have movie footage, but he won't be on the back glass. Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that, right? So, but I think and getting back to Dutch, I think it's naive for people to think Dutch is a company that is built for the people, by the people. And I don't think they're going to do the wrong thing by people and start going, well, we've got a popular title, we're going to charge 30 grand for the game. I don't think it'd be very naive for them to start upsetting the people that put them on the map, people like you and me that breathe Dutch as a company, live and breathe it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negativity about going, oh, something exclusive means expensive, and I don't think that's the case. And I think they're always going to do the right thing by the hobby and by the people that are buying their games. But I think back to the future, the fact that they're taking so long is a good thing.
Oh yeah.
And I honestly feel that it doesn't matter who's not on it and who is on it. And whatever they can't get because of Michael J. Fox, maybe you can't do the voices and they just use a voiceover actor, it doesn't matter. Anything's better than that rubbish that we got from 1980, whatever it was, 91, or I can't remember what it was.
I've never played it. I've never, ever played it. It has to be said. Well, honestly, wouldn't know if it was good, bad, or indifferent. But, I mean, the other thing I'd say about Dutch, mate, we're not dealing with a massive corporation here, and be grateful for that, because I'll tell you now for a fact, and I mean an absolute fact.
Yeah.
You are, with Dutch, you are dealing with pinball enthusiasts. You are dealing with people who are having a beer and playing pinball in their spare time. That's what you're not. It's not a big corporation. It's really not. They are pinball. They're just like you and I. They are pinball mad. They play pinball. It's their hobby, and I think it's really good to have people in it. And also, they're not the only ones. When you see Spooky as well, pinball is there. I can't even think of the guy, the young guy, dark hair.
Yeah, I'm bad with names, but I know
he was hanging out the mystery machine, wasn't he? And when he did the Scooby Doo, and everybody saw him when he was doing the shush, we're shooting wabbits, and he was silent. He did a nice little video. He's got tons of I can't think of his name. He's got tons of personality. Very, very likable. He's clearly mad about pinball, and that's what you want. You want people that are mad about pinball. When I was at the EAG, and Jersey Jack was there. When Jack was there, Jack was playing pinball, not just his machines. He was turning other machines. He was having a game. It's really important to remember this. There's a lot of people involved in this hobby who love pinball. And Stern as well. Jack Danger and people like that. Obviously, Elwin. Oh goodness, not only does he love pinball, he's often been the best at it. So. Yeah, but Dutch are the very, very heart of that, and they will produce something excellent. And I cannot wait, but I am very willing to wait, and I will wait, and because I just know what I'm going to be getting is really good. And I'd say the same thing about CGC actually with Pulp Fiction. I know it's taken a long time, but again, if I want a pinball machine now, I can go and buy a Venom right now. If I want to, I can go and buy one of those old games. I'm sure somewhere, someone's going to have a Whitewater for me to buy, or whatever the case may be, right? Or I can go and buy a Centaur somewhere or something like that. If I want pinball now, there are pinball machines out there. But that Pulp Fiction is so good, I might have to wait, and I probably will, because they take their time, CGC, too, a frustratingly long time. But what I do know, and I say this as having played very recently, Pulp Fiction, Cactus Canyon, and Monster Bash, all by CGC. Their machines are wonderfully well built, absolutely wonderfully. So I don't mind waiting at all. I'll wait for my CGC, and I'll wait for me Dutch Pinball, and I don't mind doing that, and I hopefully have a lot of fun in the meantime. And so we're gonna have to wrap it up there, mate. I've got a skedaddle. Funny enough, I'm taking my daughter to her swimming classes. So yeah, there you go. She's floating, which is a good thing at the moment. So you like swimming, all you Aussies, don't you? You're all like
we live and breathe water, that's for sure.
The irony is there's not much water in Australia. It's mostly desert. You're surrounded by the stuff.
Yeah, just surrounded by it, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, thanks for joining me. I've really enjoyed our chat.
No problems. Pleasure. It's been a while.
Yeah, it certainly has, and we won't wait as long for next time. Well, to be fair, it looks like we might have something to discuss in the next few days if Stern release John Wick's. If they do, when they release their promo video or whatever it is, we'll steal it. And we'll do a little conversation piece around it. Enzo, thank you very much, my friend. Cheers,
Thank
buddy. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're feeling particularly generous. Maybe share the video as well. We really appreciate you tuning in. Sorry it's taken so long. We'll catch up with you next time.